These aren't just ideas, they're laws. Laws followed by some of the wisest minds to ever walk this earth. And once you understand them, you'll never see life the same way again. Let's begin. Law 1. The law of inner stillness. Your mind is your kingdom, and peace is your greatest power. There's a reason why the wisest people in history weren't the loudest. They weren't always in the spotlight. They weren't chasing every trend, every opinion, every battle. They had something the world desperately lacks today: inner stillness. You see, most people live in reaction. Something happens, they get triggered. Someone says something, they defend. Life throws a curveball, they panic. They live like puppets on strings, pulled in 100 directions by fear, distraction, and noise. But the wise? They understand one fundamental truth. If you don't control your mind, someone else will. In the ancient world, the Stoics trained their minds like warriors train their bodies. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, wrote in his private journal, not for the world, but for himself. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Think about the most powerful man on earth at the time, and his greatest treasure wasn't gold or land. It was peace of mind. And yet today, most people don't even have 5 minutes of that peace. They wake up to notifications, chase opinions all day, and fall asleep with their heads full of noise. No wonder anxiety, depression, and burnout are at an all-time high. Stillness isn't weakness. Stillness is strength. It's not about doing nothing. It's about choosing when and how to act. It's about creating space between what happens and how you respond. Here's the truth. You don't have to react to everything. You don't have to win every argument. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. Your peace is more valuable than your pride. And you can't build wisdom in chaos. Imagine trying to build a house in the middle of an earthquake. That's what trying to grow while constantly distracted feels like. You have to learn to be still, to sit in silence, to breathe, to observe, to watch your thoughts without judgment. Because only in silence do you hear the truth, and only in stillness do you hear yourself. So the first law of wisdom is this: guard your mind like a king guards his throne. Don't let every noise enter. Don't let every opinion take root. And don't let every emotion decide your actions. Stillness isn't the absence of movement. It's the presence of control. And if you master this law, inner stillness, you won't just survive the chaos, you'll rise above it. Law 2, the law of perspective. Change the lens, change your life. Imagine this. 2 people stand on the edge of a cliff. They look out over the same horizon, feel the same wind, see the same sky. One sees beauty, possibility, freedom. The other sees danger, fear, the threat of falling. Same moment, same place, but 2 completely different realities. What changed? Perspective. The truth is, your life isn't defined by what happens to you. It's defined by how you see what happens to you. Your interpretation is the reality you end up living in. You can see failure as proof that you're not good enough, or you can see it as the teacher that just gave you a personal lesson. You can see heartbreak as the end, or as the painful detour that saved you from settling. You can even see pain as punishment, or as fuel. It all depends on the lens you're looking through. Albert Einstein once said, "The most important decision you'll ever make is whether you believe the universe is friendly or hostile. Because that belief will shape every decision you make." It's not just poetic, it's powerful. When you see life as happening for you, not to you, everything changes. You stop asking, "Why me?" and you start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" Perspective is what allows some people to grow through trauma, while others crumble from criticism. It's what allows a janitor to walk with pride and a CEO to drown in insecurity. It's what allows someone with nothing to feel gratitude, while someone with everything still feels like it's never enough. Here's the deeper truth most people never understand. You can't control most of life, but you can always control the meaning you give it. And the meaning is what creates your experience. So if you keep seeing yourself as the victim, you'll live as one. If you keep seeing yourself as powerless, you'll never act like you have a choice. But the moment you shift your lens, even slightly, you unlock a new version of life. Perspective isn't denial. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing a wiser way to frame what's happening. The wisest people throughout history didn't escape pain. They reframed it. They found growth inside suffering. They found clarity inside loss. They found strength inside struggle. That's not magic, that's mastery. So the second law of wisdom is this: train your lens. Question your stories. Challenge your assumptions. Because the way you look at life is the way life will look back at you. Change your perspective, and you change your world. Law 3, the law of intentional action. Don't just move. Move with meaning. We live in the busiest era of all time. People are constantly moving, hustling, chasing, scrolling, building. But here's the question nobody asks. Are they actually going anywhere? Motion doesn't equal progress. Being busy doesn't mean you're being effective. And working hard doesn't always mean you're working right. There's a kind of silent tragedy in modern life. Millions of people are climbing ladders, only to realize too late. Their ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. Why? Because they never stopped to ask the one question that separates the wise from the lost. Why am I doing this? That's the law of intentional action. It's about choosing purpose over impulse, direction over distraction, focus over frenzy. The wisest minds in history didn't just act. They acted with clarity. Every step they took had intention, and intention is what gives your action power. Think of an archer. If he doesn't aim, no matter how hard he pulls the bow, he'll miss every time. But if he focuses, aligns his breath, fixes his eyes on the target, that one arrow can do more than 100 careless shots. That's what intention does. The world will try to pull you in every direction. Jobs, opinions, fears, trends, expectations. You'll feel pressure to run with the crowd, to do what everyone else is doing just to keep up. But wisdom? Wisdom is the ability to pause, to look beyond noise, and ask, is this path mine? Or am I just walking it because it's easy? The greatest leaders, creators, and thinkers weren't guided by luck or popularity. They were guided by purpose. And purpose comes from within, not from applause. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters. You don't need more followers. You need more alignment. And you don't need to move faster. You need to move with meaning. Here's a brutal truth. Many people will die having lived a life that wasn't theirs. They'll work jobs they hate, chase dreams they don't believe in, and impress people they don't even like, all because they never lived intentionally. But that's not going to be you. You're going to slow down, to wake up, to ask better questions. You're going to act with intention, not just instinct. Because wisdom isn't about doing more. It's about doing what's right. So the third law is this: before every decision, pause. Ask why. Choose on purpose. Because life is too short to live it unconsciously. Don't just act. Act with intention and watch how your life transforms. Law 4, the law of emotional mastery. You either control your emotions or your emotions control you. Let's be honest. Most people are emotional slaves. They let anger dictate their reactions, fear control their decisions, and insecurity silence their voice. They say things they don't mean. They destroy relationships in seconds. They walk away from opportunities because something inside felt off. And then they wonder why life feels so unstable. Here's the hard truth. If you can't master your emotions, you will always be mastered by your circumstances. It's not the storm outside that drowns you. It's the water you let in. You see, your emotions are not the enemy. Anger, fear, sadness, jealousy, these are all natural. But wisdom lies in how you respond to them. Do you explode? Do you suppress? Or do you observe, acknowledge, then decide how to respond with clarity, not chaos? Because here's what wise minds figured out centuries ago. Feelings are temporary. Actions are permanent. Think of how many lives have been ruined by one impulsive decision, one angry outburst, one moment of unchecked ego, one emotional post online that cost everything. Now, think of the greatest leaders, warriors, philosophers. They didn't just win battles on the outside. They won the battle within. They learned to delay reactions, to stay calm under pressure, to not take every insult personally, to breathe when others panic. That's not weakness, that's power. Because emotional control isn't about pretending to be numb. It's about staying rooted when the world shakes. It's about knowing that you're bigger than the waves crashing around you. The greatest minds didn't just study logic or reason. They studied themselves. They trained their minds like athletes train their bodies. They journaled, meditated, reflected. Not to be trendy, but to be stable. In a world of triggers, outrage, and overreactions, emotional mastery is your superpower. You don't need to react to everything. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to carry every emotion like a burning flame in your chest. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is pause, breathe, and respond from strength, not weakness. So the fourth law is this: master your emotions before they master you. Because a calm mind creates wise choices, and wise choices build powerful lives. Emotions are visitors. Let them come, let them go, but never hand them the keys to your future. Law 5, the law of selective association. Who you surround yourself with is who you become. Let's make something brutally clear. You are not just the product of your habits. You're the product of your environment. Look around you. Who do you spend your time with? Who do you let speak into your mind? Who do you trust with your energy? Because whether you realize it or not, your circle is either sharpening you or slowly destroying you. You could have the clearest goals. You could read every book, listen to every podcast, meditate every day. But if the people around you are negative, lazy, small-minded, or toxic, eventually their energy becomes your energy. You might not see it overnight, but it's death by 1,000 cuts. You start thinking smaller. You start doubting yourself. You start laughing at things that used to bother your soul. You start accepting behavior you once promised yourself you'd never tolerate. Why? Because influence is subtle, but it's powerful. The wise have always known this. Confucius said, "If you are the smartest person in the room, then you are in the wrong room." And Jim Rohn echoed it centuries later. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You want to know where your life is headed? Look at your circle. Are they growing or just gossiping? Are they building or complaining? Are they aligned with your vision or just there out of convenience or comfort? This law is not just about avoiding bad company. It's about intentionally choosing powerful association. Surround yourself with people who challenge your thinking, who speak to your future, not your past, who want you to win, not because it benefits them, but because they love seeing you rise. People who keep you humble when you succeed and remind you of your worth when you fall. And here's the hard part. Sometimes your growth will demand distance. You may outgrow people you once called family, best friends, even partners. And that's okay. Letting go isn't betrayal, it's survival. Because the truth is, you don't just lose time hanging around the wrong people. You lose clarity. You lose your identity. So protect your environment like your life depends on it. Because it does. The 5th law is this: be ruthless with your circle. Select your tribe like your future depends on it, because it does. Your energy is sacred. Your vision is rare. Don't let it die in a room where it was never meant to live. Law 6, the law of lifelong learning. The mind, like a sword, dulls without sharpening. There's a silent danger that creeps into many lives. It's not failure. It's not rejection. It's this illusion that we already know enough. That belief, the moment it takes root, is the beginning of decay. Because the truly wise know something most people forget. Growth doesn't end with school. Wisdom doesn't come with age. And learning is not an event. It's a lifelong commitment. You've met them, haven't you? People who stopped evolving years ago. They repeat the same ideas, defend the same broken beliefs, live inside the same emotional patterns. Their minds have become like dusty rooms, locked up, untouched, and slowly fading. And then there are others. You can feel the fire in them. They're curious. They ask questions. They read, listen, reflect, observe. Not because they're weak, but because they know there's always more to understand. Einstein once said, "The more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know." That humility, that hunger, is what separates the wise from the arrogant. You see, the mind is a living thing. It grows when it's fed. It sharpens when it's challenged. It evolves when it's humbled. Learning isn't just about gaining knowledge. It's about breaking illusions. It's about confronting your own blind spots. It's about having the courage to say, "I was wrong. I didn't know that. I want to understand." And most importantly, learning isn't just from books. It's from pain, from people, from failure, from listening more than you speak. Some of the greatest lessons you'll ever learn won't come from teachers. They'll come from heartbreak, from losing something you thought you couldn't live without, from realizing that your old beliefs no longer serve your new growth. That's wisdom. So if you ever reach a point where you think you figured it out, check yourself, because the wisest people never stop learning. They evolve, they adapt, they expand their vision. Even when they've mastered their craft, they remain students of life. So the sixth law is this: make learning your lifestyle. Stay curious, stay humble, stay open, because the world will always outgrow those who stop growing. The more you learn, the further you go, and the deeper you understand life itself. Law 7, the law of legacy. Live for something that outlives you. We spend so much of our lives chasing things we can't take with us. Money, status, attention, likes, titles, and applause. But in the end, none of those things follow you to the grave. They fade. They die with you. Or worse, they disappear long before you do. So here's the question most people avoid until it's too late. What are you building that will still matter when you're gone? You see, the greatest minds in history, the ones we still quote, study, admire, they didn't live just for themselves. They lived for a cause, a mission, a contribution to humanity. That's what legacy is. Not just what you leave behind, but what you plant in others while you're still here. And no, legacy isn't just for kings, inventors, or billionaires. Legacy is built in small moments, in how you treat people, in the lessons you pass down, in the values you live by when no one's watching. Maybe your legacy is the child you raise with love and strength. Maybe it's the story you tell that changes someone's life. Maybe it's the quiet way you show others that kindness and resilience still matter in a loud, broken world. The truth is, you will die. So will I. So will everyone we know. But legacy? Legacy is what whispers your name in rooms you've never stepped in. It's what echoes in the hearts of people you'll never meet. Legacy means you didn't just exist. You mattered. And the greatest tragedy isn't death. It's dying without ever having truly lived, without ever sharing your gifts, without ever standing for something deeper than survival. The people we remember most didn't have perfect lives. They made mistakes. They fell, but they stood for something. They turned pain into purpose. They turned time into testimony. And they made the world better, not louder. So the final law of wisdom is this: live for impact, not just income. Live for meaning, not just moments. And live in a way that when you're gone, the world quietly says, they were here and they mattered. Because in the end, your legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what you leave within. Within people, within hearts, within time itself. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. Just start with one law. Live it. Feel it. Let it shape the way you think, speak, and move. Because wisdom isn't about knowing more. It's about living better. And if even one of these laws made you pause and reflect, then your journey has already begun.